Hi everybody, this is Ben Songroth with the Learning Technology Center of Illinois, and today we are going to look at how we can leverage Google Hangouts Meet for remote learning. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at how we can start a Hangouts Meet from our Google Classroom. So you can see on my screen here, I have my Google Classroom up, and Hangouts Meet is an option that is now available. Now we set this up by going into our settings and then making sure in the general area that where it says Meet here is turned on, and then also we have it visible to our students. Now that's something you can toggle on and off depending on if you want your students to have access to the room or see it while you're in it. So the kids can't access the room unless you're in the room, which is pretty cool, but the option for them would be there if you leave this on. So keep that in mind. Okay, so we've got it set up. So now let's look at actually using Meet. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the Meet icon, and this is going to jump us into our Google Meet room. So you can see it's going to load here. Our camera is starting up. Okay, so now we've got our screen loaded up. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Join Now. You can see nobody else is in the room. What happens right away is it shows me that I have a meeting nickname established, which means that only can be used, this meeting room can only be used inside of my domain, so inside of the LTC, so that would be your school's domain. If you needed to send this out to students, you could copy and paste the URL here and send that out, or the call-in information, but they should also be able to do that from their own Google Classroom, or you could directly add them here. So maybe if you needed to add another teacher or something like that, you could click Add People and do that. All right, so now let's look inside of Google Meet here and see what's going on. So down at the bottom, you see we have several different icons down here. So the first one on the left, what this is going to do is just going to give you all of your meeting information like we had before. You can also attach files to this. So if there was a calendar invite that had files with it, they would show up here. Okay, then these options here. So this is how we mute our microphone for the Meet. This is how we would end the call, and then this is how we turn the camera off. So since I'm talking right now, I'm actually going to do that because otherwise you'd just be staring at my forehead for the whole video and nobody wants that. Okay, we're going to continue along the bottom here, and you see you have some other options, including closed captions. So when I turn that on, if I was not muted, now I should have closed captions come on, as you can see here. So this could be really helpful if your students need the support of having closed captions. So we'll turn those off. We'll turn the mic off on this as well. The Present Now button. So this is going to be really important for when you're actually sharing your screen with your students. So to do this, we're going to click Present Now. And then you have three options: your entire screen, simply a window, or a Chrome tab. So if you're, you see it says best for video and animation. So if you're sharing a video, just use this one. But otherwise, a window would be like this with all three tabs in it. Your entire screen is going to show everything. So when I do that, I'll click your entire screen. It's going to ask me which one I want to do. So I have two monitors right now. I would share this one and hit share. And then now it's going to kick me into a little bit different view here. And I'm presenting to anyone in the room right now. So anything that I do on my screen, they would actually see it as well. Okay, and then when I'm done, I would just hit stop. And now we would go back to our normal view. Other things, if you click on more options, you have lots of different options in here, including the opportunity to record your meeting. So this would create a recording and then save it to your Google Drive for you to view later or to send out to students maybe that weren't able to attend. You can change the layout of your screen here, so you can see you have different options, tiled screen, spotlight view, sidebar, so it does give you several different options with which to work. Full screen is just going to expand everything out. You can see now it took on everything. We're going to actually exit the full screen though. And then you have your captions again, your settings. Okay, so inside of settings, this is what's going to happen is just going to show you which camera and which speakers you have enabled. You also have in the video area here your resolution. And your receive resolution. So you can see you have high def and standard def. The difference between those two is how you're going to look, but then also kind of your bandwidth use too. So if you go to high def for either one of these things, it'll actually increase your bandwidth and might slow you down. So it defaults to standard for a reason. I would probably just stick with that. Okay. Other options in here, this gives you the opportunity to use a phone for audio if you wanted to, and then you have a couple of help options. Up at the top, Clicking on this people icon here, this is going to actually show you who's in the call and also your chat. So right now we don't have anybody else in the call, but I'm going to join from a student Chromebook next to me, and that's going to allow me now to join as a student. So you can see, mute that. We have a student view as well. So I have my student computer down here, and up here, student Ben has joined our call. Okay, so you can see here, student Ben is on, and he's talking at the moment. What I can do though is I can go in and I can actually mute him. Okay, so I can go in and I can mute student Ben, but what I can't do is actually unmute student Ben. So student Ben would have to unmute himself. You can see it's grayed out here. But I also have the opportunity to remove him from the meeting. So if he's being disruptive, I can go in and I can remove him. Now there is no way though for you to say not allow him to rejoin again. So he would still have the opportunity to jump back into the meeting from Google Classroom, so that you can kick them out, but they would still be able to get back in if you are still in the meeting. That is important to know. The chat, so inside of the chat here, this is where people can talk to one another. So your students can have a conversation in the background while you're talking. They can ask you questions, all sorts of things like that. You also have the chat option here. So if you wanted to directly get to it, you can click on that. The U icon, what that's just going to do is that'll pin you. So that way, that means that everybody's going to be able to see you, and your screen is going to be the one that's at the forefront. This option here is actually an extension called Grid View. Okay, so it's Google Meet Grid View. It's an extension in the Chrome Web Store. What this will do is actually allow you to grid out your students into the Brady Bunch view, as we like to call it. And you can also see you have some different options here to enable grid view by default, highlight your speakers, only show participants that have video, so that takes up less tiles if you have people that aren't on video. So a really cool Chrome extension. One of the things that's nice about this is that if I was to leave this call and stop it, what happens is students can no longer join it. So I'll jump in as a student from my desktop here so you can kind of see how that looks. I'll go into my remote learning, go into classwork, and you can see here's my student meet link. And when I click on this, it tells me I can't join that video call. And that's because as the teacher, I was the last one to leave. And so that link no longer works until the teacher gets back into it. So that is how we leverage Google Meet to organize a remote learning environment and give us a chance to communicate with our students during a time of remote learning. So as always, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the Learning Technology Center of Illinois. We'd be happy to help, and stay safe out there and wash your hands.